Hello, everybody. Welcome to the sales conference. I've been asked to give a presentation on some of the work that we did in 2016 in Territory 700 regarding the specifically the nut industry of all industries to present on here. So it's food specific applications, some of which are unique to processing of almonds, walnuts, pistachios, and all that good stuff. So on the front page here of the presentation, you can see that we've got the who's who as far as name brand recognition and market leadership there, from everybody from Planters to Wonderful Pistachio and Blue Diamond, and easily confused with Blue Diamond is Diamond of California. These are some of the largest processors of the different types of nuts that they process. They're all the largest in the world, and they all use cold jets, dry ice blasting equipment in their plants. So California is known as being the land of fruits and nuts. This next slide here is to show you. This next slide here is to show you who has nuts in their territory. It reaches far beyond my territory. You can see that Oregon produces 99% of the hazelnuts grown in the U.S. We've got pecans coming from Georgia, Texas, and New Mexico and Oklahoma, spanning the territory of a couple RSMs there. Dakotas growing sunflower seeds, Kansas and Colorado as well, the largest producing producers of sunflower seeds there, those four states. Lastly, we've got peanuts coming out of Georgia, all the way on the other side of the country, Texas, Alabama, the Carolinas, Florida, Oklahoma, Virginia, New Mexico, and South Carolina. So hopefully this information will be relevant to those of you in other parts of the country and just nuts, not only here in California. The Food Safety Modernization Act, food plants called FSMA. That's a big reason why our customers or future customers are cold jet. It's some of the, quote, most sweeping legislative reform for the food safety laws in over 70 years. It was signed by Obama, went into effect about 7 years ago, and let's see here. They're shifting their focus from responding to the contamination to preventing it. So they're taking a more proactive versus a historically what's been a reactive approach. Cold Jet's equipment helps them get out in front food safety issues, potential issues, by preventatively cleaning, getting into some of those hard to clean areas of the plant that have otherwise been neglected. The type of cleaning that we do, of course, goes well beyond just food contact surfaces, which have, you could say, primarily been the concern with food production plants for a long time. And certainly this FSMA legislation helps expand the scope of what they're cleaning in food plants, and opens up and makes relevant the type of cleaning applications where dry ice is used beyond food contact surfaces. Nut industry concerns, what are they worried about? Believe it or not, salmonella. So I got the chicken on there. Chicken, everybody knows salmonella is associated with raw, uncooked chicken. Salmonella is actually naturally found on nuts on the trees. And so the concern there is cross-contamination from nuts growing in shells or in husks. And then that's got salmonella on the outside of it. So the concern is that salmonella makes its way down the line and somehow gets in contact with a nut that has been removed from that shell that contains salmonella on it. So one of the stories from this year, Wonderful Pistachio, largest producer of pistachios in the region, and California grows, I think, 99% of the world's pistachios, is in Lost Hills, California. And they did a voluntary recall of their pistachios this year. It was in March. Sickened at least 11 people in 9 different states, hospitalized 2 of them. The recall spanned across the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and Peru. And I did find in my Google search that no Ohio illnesses were yet reported, according to the Cleveland The financial impact of a product recall is something that's important to keep in mind and to know about. The average cost of a recall in the food industry by a food company is $10 million, and that's just counting the direct costs. You can see some of those direct costs listed below in the bullet points, and some of the indirect costs in the graphic on the lower right-hand side, things like brand damage, lost sales, all have a negative impact that go beyond the $10 million. And of course, in that $10 million is probably $100,000 worth of dry ice blaster sales, so they can get their plants up shape. So what Wonderful did during their recall was they sent out all the dry ice blasters that they had. They purchased all the dry ice blasters that we had available at ColdJet West, and they dry ice blasted all 4 of their plants from head to toe. Took them about a week, and they got their production plants up and running again. Had they not had experience with and the know-how of dry ice blasting or equipment, of course, cleaning those plants would have been much more labor-intensive, taken a lot longer, more downtime, get a less clean result at the end of it anyhow. And so I like to tell the customers that are interested in this process that during that recall, they dry ice blasted those plants from head to toe, and that's what allowed them to get their production up and running, and of course stay improve their quality sanitation. So what can we clean? You've got keywords in this industry here are oil. Nuts contain oil. Think of the coffee roasters. Biofilm. Food plants are concerned with biofilm, and then the organic buildup that just comes from the as organic material, everything from the husks, the shells, the leaves, the dirt, the organic buildup. So typically we're used further down the line than when the nuts just come in from the fields or the trees. So we're looking mostly at organic, oil and biofilm buildup. Nice thing about our process, as we all know, it passes an ATP swab test, so it does kill the microbiological organisms that the plants are interested in eliminating and controlling. Here, salmonella in the nut industry. It also eliminates allergens. Food allergens are simply food proteins. It does that by breaking them down. I've got customers that use it to remove peanut allergens, whey allergens, dairy allergens, most popular. So if you take a look at this slide here, we've got cable veirs down at the bottom. That's what they use, a little white puck of UHMW plastic, transport the nuts around the plant. You'll also, on the right-hand side, you'll have these bucket elevators. The buckets come off, they go into a part washed or wiped down, and then you're left with this frame, guide rail, drive chain, all the equipment that you see there, except for those buckets. Very difficult to clean. It's frankly impossible to clean. Nobody cleans it unless they've got a ColdJet. And so that's a huge win because it's right there next to raw product. It can be even finished product at that point, going through these veirs or these bucket elevators. And so being able to clean there is a great value to the customers. Those cable veirs here, you'll see on the next slide, we've got a couple of things going on here. Those pucks on the chain, they get pulled through the tube, bringing along the product with them. And in order to clean that, if they don't have a ColdJet, they need to disassemble the tube, take out the chain, pull it all out. Then they go and pressure wash it for a day. Then they put it back in, only to realize that they didn't clean it as well as they would have liked to, because it was the mechanics that pulled it all out. It takes them 2 days. A team of a couple of guys, they don't get the desired results, as they don't get as clean as they'd like to.